Nick Sorensen out as 49ers defensive coordinator. They are looking for new candidates and hope to interview Robert Saleh, according to reports. Let's start with Nick Sorensen. The Nick Sorensen era didn't go so well. And you may not realize how it started in the first place. It could have started in 2023. The Niners lost DeMeco Ryans and interviewed candidates for the defensive coordinator position. One of the people they considered was, Nick Sorensen. And guess what? They didn't give him the job. You know why? Because they felt he wasn't ready and or good enough. And you know what? They were right. Their assessment of Nick Sorensen was dead on balls accurate. So they brought in someone from outside the organization, Steve Wilks, who's frankly a good coach, and he did a good job. But what's more important than doing a good job on the 49ers? Being liked. And it seems like the players just didn't like him very much. So after a really well-coached Super Bowl on the part of Steve Wilks, the Niners fired him and then promoted Nick Sorensen, who they had deemed not ready for the job because the players liked him. Funny thing is, cut to the present, they don't seem to like him so much anymore. You know why? Because he's not good. And he just gave up 47 points against the Cardinals. Now, it's not fair to say he gave it up. They gave it up. But after the game, what did Nick Bosa do? He said he was embarrassed, which is a nice little way to sidestep the problem and put it on the defensive coordinator. A year ago, it seemed like Nick Bosa really liked Nick Sorensen. But if it's Nick Bosa or Nick Sorensen, you got to believe it's going to be Nick Sorensen. So the player favorite suddenly gets the axe, which maybe that's a lesson to Kyle Shanahan and Jed York and John Lynch. Don't ask the players who they want to be the coach because they'll turn on that guy too. Just get the best coach. I mean, the Raiders wanted Antonio Pierce until they didn't want him anymore. So let the players play. And John, Kyle, that's your job to find the best coordinator. And I feel like they're probably not going to be asking Nick Bosa for his opinion this time around. Although maybe they will. Who knows? Who knows who really runs this defense? It could be Nick Bosa. He makes a lot more money than Kyle Shanahan. But according to reports, the Niners are interested in bringing back Robert Saleh. I would imagine that Nick Bosa likes him. He played for Robert Saleh in the past. So did a lot of these players. And Robert Saleh is a hell of a coach. Problem for the Niners is that other teams are looking at him as a head coaching candidate. The Jaguars interviewing him as a head coaching candidate. He was with that organization for years. He has a relationship with their owner. He's a really good coach. And apparently he has an interview lined up with another team as well. So if he doesn't get those jobs, he could come back. And clearly that would be great news for the 49ers. I mean, what an upgrade that would be. It feels too good to be true. Maybe 2025 is going to be full of good luck and good things for the 49ers. But the way things have been going since they lost the Super Bowl, they're not going to get Robert Saleh. They're going to get someone else. Look for Ken Norton Jr. The Niners hired him in 2018 to be their assistant head coach, and he had the job for a week until the Seahawks poached him and brought him in as their defensive coordinator. Then he went to the UCLA. Shout out to UCLA. I went there. He went to UCLA and turned their defense into a top 10 unit in college football. He was their linebackers coach. Now he's working for Dan Quinn in Washington as their linebackers coach. He's got a lot of the same traits as DeMeco Ryans. And Robert Saleh, he trained Robert Saleh. He's a linebackers coach. He's a guy who gets his players to play with a lot of effort, which is what the Niners want. And he runs the same freaking scheme that they've been running since 2017. They don't want to change anything seriously about this team. They want to keep the structure in place, even though they should ditch the wide nine. They're not going to ditch. You think they're going to ditch the wide nine? They're not going to ditch the wide nine. They're going to bring in someone who will work with Chris Kasarik, because why wouldn't you want to keep a defensive line coach who can't stop the run at all? And everyone's clamoring for the Niners to blitz more. No, let's keep that wide nine. So, yeah, Robert Saleh, if they're lucky. Ken Norton, if they can't get Robert Saleh. Jeff Ulbrich, if they want some guy who just failed. So, they got options. Nick Sorensen. What I don't want to see is Nick Sorensen get moved to special teams coordinator. That seems like an unserious move. You're trying to show that you're taking special teams seriously. Just firing Brian Schneider and moving Sorensen over there because he had the job once in Jacksonville in 2021 and didn't do a good job with that either. I mean, he was one and done as a special teams coordinator. One and done as a defensive coordinator. And you're thinking like, no, we got to keep this guy here because people like him. Do they? Get a serious special teams coordinator, please.